Hello everybody! Welcome back to the burrow. Welcome back all my burrow folk. Welcome anyone who is new here. My name is Tegan Mooson. This is the Tegan Mooson channel which hosts the burrow, and I am a bubblegum mouse VTuber. I'm safe for work and say so anyone who is curious or cautious, do not worry, it will be safe content here. It's Mouse Monday! Every Monday I like to do mouse themed streams. I almost said mouse streamed themes? That doesn't quite make sense. Mouse themed streams. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put my headphones in, so you might be hearing slight doubling on the audio. Give me a second, I will sort that out now. I've been a bit all over the place today, unfortunately. A whole bunch of stuff that I needed to sort out earlier. Let's get that all plugged. Oh, let's get that all plugged in. There we go. Hopefully that sorts the audio doubling issue, and then I can put my headphone in. There we go. Yes, I'm here. We're here for another Mouse Monday, and of course the ads decide to jump in then. We're playing Little Mouse's Encyclopedia. This looks like a very adorable little, almost... Oh my gosh, okay, the mouse's little mouse kicky legs, so you can just like put them under the letters and just be like, yep. The L is a little mouse kicking its legs. The E is a little mouse kicking its legs. The M, of course, is a little mouse kicking its legs. Yeah, it's got a very sort of children's storybook art style to it. I should have pulled up the information about Little Mouse's Encyclopedia. So you can find it on Steam for £4.99. So I'm only expecting a little game, but it looks adorable, and for that price, cannot complain about any of this. It has Steam trading cards for some reason. It is a little single-player interactive encyclopedia where we just get to wander around the different areas and look at creatures and learn things. It'll be adorable and cute. Discover 160 species of animals and plants in 4 different habitats. Very child-friendly, very cute, and I'm expecting to have a wonderful little time where we wander around and have a little learn about stuff, a little learn about nature. It is created by Circus Atos. I've never played anything by them before, so I'm excited. I'm excited to learn about the Little Mouse's Encyclopedia, where we can have a wander and we can learn some animal and plant facts. Depending on how long it takes me to get through and learn all the little animal and plant facts and just have a nice little time exploring and learning the encyclopedia, I do also have a second game lined up for afterwards, which is a bit more of an adventure game, but still a very cute storybook-esque art style. So we can get to that afterwards. But for now, Little Mouse's Encyclopedia. Let's jump in. So we've got 4 little areas that we can go into. There's no, like... It turns into a little mouse hand that goes poke, 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 poke. And then turns back into little kicky legs. Already very cute. And like even the little interactivity of just like it pops forwards when you hover over it. It's very cute. Welcome back from the ad break, everybody. Yeah, so I love that immediately you're not locked behind any like you have to do this area first and then you go to this area and then you go to this area, because you're just here to explore the world, learn some lovely animal and plant facts and enjoy the very cute art style. So let's start with Around the Burrow, because of course that's where we are. They had what I wanted for my spore animation, the little tappy feet. I'm down here in my burrow reading a lovely book. So I've got a magnifying glass that I can pick up and have a look around. Oh! I've already gained an achievement, ready for adventure. How to control the game. The animal or plant will come to life when you click on it. You can move around using arrows or by clicking on the screen, so I can do the entire thing with my mouse, which is lovely. Close the table by clicking on it. So 1. Discover by dragging the big magnifying glass. 2. The small magnifying glasses will help you. And 3. Open the tables. So I can just have a little wander around. I can pull up my big magnifying glass. And it shows the little magnifying glasses show me what I can drop on. So like there's the table which tells me how to play the game, and then there's this grub over here. A white grub. Ooh, looks a little bit gross. But I bet it tastes great. The white grub is a larva of a cockchafer. It will evolve into the cockchafer in 4 years. It bites off the rootlets of plants, so it eats little end roots. The larvae spend the winter under the ground. And then we've got a little diagram here of how it works. So you've got the eggs, and then it eats the roots to grow big, and then it cocoons itself, and it turns into the bug and burrows its way out to the surface. And there's all of them down at the bottom. That little grub I can't click on. Worm friend. Common earthworm. I guess we are learning. This is all scientific terms. I just had the sudden realization that I was like, But we're learning. We're learning about animals and plants. Therefore, slight naughties are fine because it's all factual information. I will not read them, however, but we have the sections of an earthworm. The earthworm is afraid of hooks because you use earthworms to fish, chickens, birds, little birds and moles. It feeds on soil, plant remains and dead insects. It pulls the leaves into the soil and it grubs the soil. It increases soil fertility, so earthworms increase a good garden. Earthworms make for a good garden. Now I can come up here. Julius terrestris. It looks like a centipede. It may well be a kind of centipede. It has solid cuticles, so lots of little segmented body parts. As you can see here, segments of the body, the head, the antenna, they go to about 2.5 centimetres long, so they're teeny tiny little things. Julius, I'm going to struggle to pronounce some of these Latin terms. Julius terrestris curls up when it is in danger, much like a woodlouse. It lives under fallen leaves and under stones. It feeds on plant remains. And then this is just going to be the white grub again, isn't it? Oh, it's more info. A rose chafer. They are about 1.4 to 2 centimetres, and they have C-shaped larvae, as you can see there. I like that it's called a rose chafer, but it is very much green from this image. So it should be a jade chafer, more likely. And they are good flyers. They feed on pollen, nectar, and ripe fruit. We like ripe fruit. The larvae feed on decomposed leaves and dead plant rootlets. You can also find them in composts. So, if you see some white grubs in your compost heap, don't kill them. They're just chafers. Oh. Common dandelions. We love dandelions. So they have their leaves, which you can tell from the little spikies all the way up. They're a medicinal herb. I didn't know dandelions were medicinal. I suppose I did know they were a medicinal herb because dandelion tea is a thing. They have yellow flowers that as they mature, they sprout outwards and then grow all the little white buds, which are the seeds that you see. It has a hollow stem, which not a lot of plants do as far as I'm aware. You can make dandelion honey. dandelion wreaths. Lovely dandelion crowns, they always look lovely. They have long roots that exude white, bitter sap. It grows on grassy spots, meadows and along roads. The seeds are dispersed by the wind, so that's something that is always fun. If you grow up in the countryside, picking dandelions and blowing the seeds off and making a wish. Because we refer to these seeds as fairies. They are little dandelion fairies that float away and carry your wish on the wind. And then we've got white clovers. So white clovers, they are white or greenish flowers. Their leaves have 3 and rarely 4 leaflets. So often clovers you'll find in big patches, like big clumps, as it were. And there'll be loads and loads of leaves and then the occasional little flower which will be in white or pink quite a lot of the time. This is all based on everything that's not written here is based on my personal knowledge, which is limited, but I did grow up in the country and I do live in countryside areas, so yes, have some knowledge about plants and things. But yeah, so it is considered lucky to find a 4-leaf clover. So quite often you could go hunting for them. You could wander through the country and just find clumps of these clover leaves and just go digging through them to be like, oh, are there any 4-leaf ones here? The stems are creeping, so they often travel along the ground and then grow more stems that go up. As you can see here, they've got roots and then they plant more roots as they go along, which is how you end up with these big clumps. The leaves, flowers, as well as the stems are very tasty for animals. It grows on meadows, fallow lands and in ditches. They are nectar-producing flowers, which is always good. Helps the animals with some good nectar. And the leaves used to be consumed as spinach. I didn't know that, but yeah. 4-leaf clovers are considered lucky. A lovely little fact there. We then have buttercups. Yeah, meadow buttercups. Yellow flower, which kind of denotes why they are called buttercups, because they often, when they are opening, they look like little teacups in bright yellow. They're an open flower, so they have all the stamen and oh gosh, my biology is very out of date. All the little pollen tips in the middle, and then all the petals open outwards. They have long stalked leaves, so they often sprout out into they'll sprout out a leaf and then or a stem with a leaf on the end, and the leaf will be all this kind of jagged segmented sections. It grows on damp soil. Apparently it's a poisonous plant, so do not eat buttercups. Despite their name, do not eat them. That would not be good. And the buttercup also causes blisters on the skin. I didn't know that. I've never had blisters from a buttercup, but I guess I've been lucky. I've never known buttercups to cause blisters. Maybe it's like the sap inside can be somewhat harmful. And then we've got daisies, common daisies. Now these ones, it showed a dandelion crown. You want a daisy crown. Daisies are great. So white and pink flowers. Sometimes they vary. Normally you can just find just pure white ones, but sometimes they do go pink at the tips. They've got leaves that look a little bit like lettuce leaves. They kind of grow up in individual shoots. I always called them sprigs then. I was like, they're not a sprig is like a group. Individual leaves, they have short roots, so they're fairly easy to pick up if you wanted it. So, as an example, if you were de-weeding a garden to make it look pristine. But they always look lovely. They bloom all year round, so even when it's freezing cold. Evergreen plants, I think that's what they're referred to. And close up on the leaf, it has all the veins that run up and splinter out. It grows on meadows, lawns, field boundaries and pastures. And apparently they are spring salad with flowers. I don't know if that means they're edible. I wouldn't want to test it. They possibly are edible, but I would hate to just go, they're edible, of course. Stinging nettles, white nettles. The flowers burst into bloom from the bottom up. So nettles often grow to 30 to 50 centimetres in one specific stem that then has all of these spiny leaves coming off them. And the spiny leaves will be covered in lots and lots of little hairs. And it's actually those little hairs when you rub the leaf the wrong way. So if you just brush your hand into a group of nettles, you'll get lots and lots of little stings and pricks that will become very itchy. Because when the stem, the little hairs on the leaves, when they get brushed the wrong way, they cause an irritant. So they are actually little spines that will poke at you. They are a fruit, nucula. I'm not sure what a nucula is. I'm going to look that up because I can grab info while we're here. It does mean that it cuts out. Oh, it also means that that drops. That's no good. Hang on. Can I change the settings so that that... No. I can't. That's not very good then. Hang on. Because we don't want to keep dropping out of that. Okay, I'll just... I can try and look things up later. It's important food for bees. So nettles are actually quite useful for any pollinating plants, but these ones specifically are quite good at pollinating and they're quite good at spreading. So almost slightly invasive as a species of plant. The stems are also hollow, much like the daisy, but obviously they are slightly more fortified and thicker, whereas a daisy is like a very thin outside of the stem. These ones have like the slight ridges that go off the edge that you can kind of see on the top here, that give it a much more rigid structure. It grows along fences, in ruins, along roads and streams. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't realise that was exiting out of the area. Let's run back up here. Yeah, we're next to our nettle again. Okay, a cabbage butterfly. Yay, cabbage butterfly. They have thin antennas, much like many butterflies. They have front wings, rear wings, and a pileus body, which is segmented. The wings are covered in scales. They have a convoluted proboscis. Proboscis? Yeah, I did say that correctly. I was like, my dyslexia tried to read the word, and I was like, I know it's called a proboscis. But then my brain was like, proboscis. But no, it is a proboscis. And that's how they eat. They have like a little sort of snout, but very long and thin, like almost like a straw. It's like a little curly straw. And they unfurl it, and their tongue pokes out and goes like how a cat laps up water or milk. Or any liquid, I suppose. But yeah, so they do like a little cat lappy, but their tongue goes through a massive straw, which is their proboscis. So the butterfly evolution starts as little eggs, which you can often spot on leaves as like little white dimples, almost, which is how it's showing it here, but obviously it's not showing them as white because it's a simplistic art style. They then turn into caterpillars, and they get to live on the plant that they've been born on, and then they get to eat all the leaves to make them grow nice and strong. They turn into a pupa, or a cocoon, and then they turn into the butterfly that then sucks the nectar from the blooms. Yeah. My little mouse doing exercises, doing stretches. What plant have we got next? Ooh, yarrow. So a common yarrow is another medicinal herb. It has white or pinkish flowers. I don't think I've ever seen pink yarrow, but I've definitely seen white yarrow. They're definitely more common. Close to the flowers is their little buds. They have a tiny little, almost like the daisies and the buttercups, where it's like the petals going around all the stamen and everything. But they're tiny, tiny little flowers that grow in clusters. So like each of these will have, as you can see, like this could have like 10, 15 flowers in that little area. Hi Terence, how are you? We're learning stuff about plants and animals, currently bugs and plants. a close-up on the leaf. So they have almost this fern-like, where it's got the main stem and then all the little fronds that come out with all their little sections. And they are a creeping rootstock, so it'll actually have one main stem coming up, maybe one or two from the same protrusion from the ground, but the roots actually will then travel under the surface and create different areas where the plant can then grow up. As you can see here, it will travel and then another plant will shoot up somewhere else, but they'll all actually be part of the same plant because they'll all be connected by the same root system. Much like mushrooms quite often do this, where there's lots of... you just got home from your job. How was it today? Hopefully you worked hard and got some good achievement. Yarrow tea also has medicinal effects. Now I'm picturing what what was the other medicinal herb we found? I guess you can also make nettle tea. It was... brain. Run back over here. Dandelion. Dandelion was the other medicinal. So I'm picturing a yarrow and dandelion tea now. Could be interesting. It grows on field boundaries, meadows, in ruins, along roadsides, and on forest edges. It's also slightly bitter. So maybe you wouldn't want a yarrow and dandelion tea because they're both a little bit bitter. And it would taste very medicinal. Interesting though. And then we've got a Carthusian pink. I do kind of recognise these flowers. My brain didn't know they were called a Carthusian though. They have dark pink flowers that have these almost like... their petals are longer and jagged along the edges, as you can see here. The flowers consist of 5 petals. I didn't know that was a constant. I thought some of them could get 6. I guess they're more clover-like with their flower patterning. The flowers burst into bloom gradually, so you'll get them being like more of like a bud, and then over time they'll all just go whoop, into little flowers. You had a short shift, so nothing too painful. Oh, that's good. Sometimes the short shifts are nice just to be like, I've done some good today, and then you can go home and enjoy yourself. So that's good. The leaves are arranged in pairs, growing opposite each other. Yeah, I do recognise these plants. So they do grow up in, as you can see here, and with they've got like these little long thin leaves with the slight jagged edges, but they grow like out of the stems opposite each other in like little, as if the stem's just been like split and then new stems come up the middle, and then it's been split and the new stems come up the middle, but it's actually just the leaves growing out in twos. It grows on dry meadows and field boundaries, and the capsule contains small seeds. So when the flower opens, it has like all the little seeds in it, and then it will go poof and launch the seeds, and then have the little flowers left over. We've then got broad-leaved thyme. Thyme is a good thing. This kind of thyme and the regular kind of thyme. They have short woody stems, so quite often they're, as you can tell from how it is in comparison to the rest of these plants, it is a very like stout little plant. The flowers are small and purple. The leaves are of various shapes, but they tend to be that sort of classic, I'm going to call it an almond shape, where it's got like it's like an oval with the 2 points at the end, the 2 little prongs. The stems are creeping, so they often grow similar to oh gosh, this is where my horrendous memory kind of fails me a bit. We literally saw another plant with creeping stems a moment ago, and my brain's already forgotten what it is, because my information retention is terrible. Creepy stems. What was the other creepy stem plant? Was it the clover? Yeah, the stems are creeping. It was clovers. So they actually grow like clovers then. But they'll grow in like bunches and patches. Oh, I'm sorry, butterfly, I didn't mean to disturb you. Yeah, so they'll grow in like little clumps and patches. So the broadleaf thyme has a strong aromatic scent and grows mostly on dry grassy slopes. And so often people will pluck the plants and hang them up to dry. And then once they're dried, I think it's just the leaves, can get ripped off and crushed down, or like diced into tiny little pieces, and that's how you make the actual herb that people use in cooking. I think it's just the leaves. It might be leaves and stem, but I think it's just the leaves. The tea is used to cure coughs. So if you have thyme in your tea, then you have a nice little cough remedy. And you have a close-up of the flower here, where it's got almost that bell shape with the little the petals coming off the edge, and all the stems coming out the middle. Very nice. I'm going to quickly run back down the hole, see if we've got more things to explore down here. Observation of earthworms. You will need 1 large glass or a jar, 2 to 3 earthworms, a paper, adhesive tape, sand, soil, and a couple of leaves. So the earthworms grub soil. In a couple of days, they will mix the layers of soil and sand. Oh, so you just kind of put soil and sand in a production process. So you pour the sand and the soil into the glass, you cover it with the paper, and seal with the tape. Obviously you want to leave the top open so they can have oxygen. And they're not going to, as long as you don't fill it to the brim, they're unlikely to just be like, okay, we escape. You add a couple of earthworms and leaves. So you have it so they have a nice little environment with something to eat. There's our friend the centipede. Brown centipede. The rear legs are longer. There's 2 at the back, and they also got the antennas at the front. They have 15 pairs of legs, apparently. 12, 13, 14, 15. I think they've done 16 on this piece of art. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, they've given them 16 pairs of legs. Unless I'm just counting wrong. They have sections of the body, and it hunts tiny insects, so they go around and hunt smaller insects for food. They have body segments, so they have like the segmented, almost chitin. They have 2 long antennae for sensing what's in front of them, down in the dark tunnels. They've got little mandibles for munching up their food, and their eyes are also segmented, I think, which is why it's showing it here as like 3 eyes, but there it's just like the one big eye that has all the little sections inside. It lives under tree bark, under stones, and in fallen leaves. Nice. Friends? Okay, that's where we were before when we were going around underground. Hello, friends. We have the common shrew. It eats as much as it weighs every day. Then we have a little diagram of a shrew's skull. We have the shrew tracks. You can see the back foot and the front foot, much like mice feet. It inhabits forests, parks, fields, and meadows. Young shrews often form a trailer behind their mother. So when they travel, they will just travel along in a little line, doing a little conga all the way. Very cute. There's got to be more up here, isn't there? We'll continue going along underground for a bit, and then we'll come back up and look at the plants. Hi, Callie! How are you? Oh, European mole crickets. Wait, is this going to be... There we go, the European mole cricket. So, it has a cerci, which is the little prongs at the back that function for feeling. It digs with the strong front legs, hence mole cricket. Careful with what you're typing, folks. Sorry, my bot just caught someone spamming. The European mole cricket can fly and swim, so it's actually good in all terrains. The male lures the female by loudly rubbing its wings together. The female likes to bite through roots of plants. Yum, yum, yum. And then we'll learn more about the eggs again. A European mole cricket can carry up to 300 eggs. They just drop them all off. Then the nymphs hatch from the eggs. The nymphs skin several times. Nymph skins several times. Oh, as in like it molts. It molts off its skin. After the final skinning, it's about 6 centimetres in length. The mole cricket grows... Oh, that one is... See, that's written as 2 separate sentences, and then this is written as 1 sentence. After the final skinning, the mole cricket grows up to 6 centimetres in length. Yeah. And a little bit about the mole cricket. And then we get to learn about a mole. Or more earthworm stuff. Oh, that's the mole pantry. We'll learn about the mole first. Common mole. So they're lovely little subterranean critters. They've got their little beady eyes adjusted for living underground, where they can take in as minimal light as possible, which means that they perceive better in the darkness. And they've got their large nose for sniffling around and getting all the scents. Much like the mole cricket, they've got those big front paws for digging through the dirt, and then they've got their little hind limbs for kind of pushing themselves along while they're digging, along with their tail. They've got cylindrical bodies. That's very cute drawing of a mole. Digging legs, yeah, with those big front claws. They form often quite vast, like tunnel ways, where they have like their nest, and then they'll have several escape routes going out into molehills. But they also gather their pantry, the mole's pantry. It's showing their whiskers on the little diagram. It paralyses the earthworms by biting them into their nerve centre. It saves them for a rainy day. Yeah. Paralysing bites. Spooky stuff. They've got pointy teeth, which is how they go about biting through the worm. Smell is its main sense for a mole. It does have better eyesight underground, but than we would anyway. And they are an insect eater. They are carnivorous. Oh. Hello, friends. We have caddisflies. So, caddisflies larva and adult caddisfly. A carapace with a soft body from various materials. The carapaces are made from... a carapace with a soft body. The carapace are made from various materials. With whatever they can find. Reeds and bits of fluff and rocks and pebbles and all sorts. They often lay their eggs on the... They like fresh water, so they'll lay their eggs on the rocks at the bottom of the fresh water. As you can... I keep accidentally doing that. Sniffer, sniffer. Hi, Pinky! Let's run back over... Oh, no, this way. This way! There we go. Back to looking at the underwater stuff. We have a smooth newt. So males grow a tall ridge in the period of reproduction. So they'll have a long ridge of spine, like going up their, a long ridge of dimples going up their spine. They're amphibians. They can go on, like many newts, they can go on land and water. I'm doing very well, Milo. How are you? Getting all your redeems in. It lives in deciduous forests or in meadows, burrowed under the ground. It seeks the water for reproduction. So newt metamorphosis, they lay as water-bound eggs, much like frogs do. And then they grow into like little tadpoles, and then they grow their little fronds and turn into full newts with their little legs, but they keep the more tadpole-esque body shape so they can swim better. Whereas frogs just kind of abandon that and go, yep, land time. Though they can still swim. Here we go. Tadpole or frog larvae. The tadpole, sorry, I realised I was slouching there. The tadpole will become a frog. So they have a frog metamorphosis where similarly they become a tadpole and they grow their limbs and they turn into a frog. Where they then become amphibious. And then we'll go back up this way. Tipula maxima. The larvae feed on plants. It doesn't have a stinging system. Oh, so they're kind of like crane flies. I think it's a Tipula maxima. They look kind of like crane flies anyway. Sort of mosquito-esque, but they don't have a sting. They often get used as fishing bait. They have a wingspan of about 5 centimetres, and the female lay eggs into the grass. Its legs are quite long and often break. What are these ones? Common burying bug beetles. They have feeling ciliae, so they've got little fronds on their antenna for feeling around. And warning coloration. So a lot of beetles do this where they have bright patches to kind of warn off, like almost a "don't eat me, I'm poisonous" kind of thing. Oh gosh. While flying, it is in search for the smell of corpses, and then they transport the corpses back to their burrows. The burying beetle often buries the corpses into the ground. Oh, so they're kind of like the... I was going to be like, oh gosh, grim, and then it's like, actually they're just kind of undertakers. They will inevitably end up eating those corpses, but the bugs will form... the bugs will form the buried corpse into a food ball. Slightly gruesome. Larvae of the click beetle. They have 3 pairs of short legs. The larvae is up to 40 millimeters long. A click beetle develops from a larvae. You can see a diagram of the click beetle there. Ostrich beetle. Ostrich. It's a garden pest who nibbles on bulbs and plants. So if you see these in your garden, you probably want to get rid of them. But if you're doing a natural wild garden, then probably you don't mind, because they'll just be part of the ecosystem. When a click beetle is overturned on its back, it tightens its body and springs into the air. It falls on its belly again. Well, they have a self-righting mechanism. They can just be like, yep, flip myself back over. Melancra noctuid moth. They have black wings with white spots. And there's the little life cycle of them. Similarly to the butterflies we saw earlier, they go from egg to caterpillar to pupae or cocoon to the moth, and then back to producing more eggs. Adult moth lays eggs, caterpillar hatches from eggs, caterpillar pupate, and the caterpillar eats leaves. The leaf slowly vanishes, nothing will remain. They're not wasteful, these caterpillars. They will eat the lot. Then we can hop back up here and continue our plant inspecting. Brown knapweed. It's an ice-like drink there. Because there's a lot of reading in this. We're only in the first area. So, brown knapweed. I'm not quite sure why it's called brown knapweed. I suppose it's the bulb, and then all of the flowers actually come out like individual fronds out the top. They are often pink or purple flowers. I think I mostly see these as purple ones around this area. They are a honey producing flower, so get on there bees, get in and enjoy the honey, or enjoy gathering the pollen to make the honey. So the leaves are various shapes. As you go further up the plant, they become more streamlined to avoid wind and things. Because I think like nettles, they have like the individual tall roots that or stems that kind of sprout off as they get higher up. And I think these ones can grow pretty tall. I mean, nettles can grow pretty tall as well, so yeah, about the same. It grows in meadows, pastures, field boundaries, and along roads. We've then got Ribwort plantain. So, another little, much like daisy crowns and dandelion wishes, another little trick you can do with these, which was quite often fairly common, is if you pluck the stem down near the base and then you loop it into like a ring around your finger and then loop it over itself, then you can kind of pluck it, and the fruit capsule at the top will fire off as like a little pew. Sorry. That was something that just happened in primary school. Like there would be a lot of people just being like pew and shooting each other with them throughout the summer, or launching them at each other. They have spikes of a small flower that often have like a little like dusting of white little petals around the edge. They have broad leaves, and yeah, ribwort plantain. They have a rosette or basal leaves. Oh right, when they go further down towards the base, the leaves often go a kind of reddish colour. Rosette of basal leaves. It grows on grassy spots, meadows, pastures and along roads. Plantain syrup is a remedy for coughs. I didn't know that. Also medicinal. Many medicinal plants that we get to learn about today. We then have the great green bush cricket. So these will be the ones that if you're around and you kind of out at night or as the sun's going down during the summer, you'll often hear the like telltale noise of nighttime and like countryside nighttime, where it would be like the little crickets rubbing their legs together. Yeah, they have an auditory cavity on their legs. They have like a little ridge about here on their legs, I think, so that when they rub the legs together, all these little hairs kind of rub past each other, and it makes a little like scritchy chirp noise. And then they've got little legs in the middle, and then the long legs at these are the long legs at the back. That they can, most of their body weight is out here, because they can kind of curl that part, and then that's all just wings. They've got very long antennae and a teeny tiny little head at the top. Now they feed on plants and small animals, and the female lay eggs in the ground. The green colour masks her well. So yeah, they can have their kind of... Whee! Watching it jump away. Oh! Whee! Yoop! Yeah! Very funny. We then got harebells, not bluebells. I thought they were going to be bluebells, but seems I was incorrect. The flowers are violet. They have a lovely little close up here of like the bell-shaped plant. They have sessile leaves and stalked leaves down at the bottom. So I think sessile is like the thin little tubular leaves where they like curl in on themselves. And their stalk leaves are much kind of more widespread, so they can catch all the sunlight at the base to produce all the chlorophyll near the root, because they only have a short root, which means they can't get much water from the actual ground, which means most of their water supply probably goes to about here, and then kind of just goes up to the plants past that. Yeah, they have the two different types of leaves. Very good. It is a protected plant. It grows on pastures, meadows, field boundaries, slopes and on forest edges. Then we got a different type of daisy. Yeah, the ox-eye daisy. So they have white flowers. These ones are quite a fair bit larger than regular daisies. They have more ridged leaves. Yeah, the leaves are toothed, as you can see there. And there's the little fortune that you can get from daisies, where you pluck the petals to see if somebody fancies you or not. He loves me not, as it were. Because the flowers themselves have a varying amount of petals. So there you go. It grows on meadows, hillsides, pastures, along roads, and in light forests. Then we've got a couple of insects. We've got the housefly. What are you doing out here in the field, Mr. Housefly? So the parts of a housefly, they have the little antennas at the front, they have compound eyes, which is what I was talking about earlier with the centipede. They have like compound eyes where it's sort of a refractor. So they've got their main eye, but inside their eye it's got like lots of little mirrors that all kind of reflect in different directions so that they can see a lot wider perspective, but it's all in like segments. Then they've got their wings, their main abdomen, and the thorax, which is the middle part of an insect's body. So you'll have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. And a fly's legs are covered in lots and lots of little hairs, much like the rest of most of their body. And similarly, they go through the stages where it's at eggs to larva to pupa to adult fly. Then we've got the dragonfly. So, dragonflies, an azure damselfly, not a dragonfly. They are distinctly different. The difference between a damselfly and a dragonfly is a damselfly has 4 wings, and a dragonfly has 2 wings. So they have large eyes, again, similarly with the kaleidoscopic. Let me get the exact word again. Compound eyes. Again with the compound eyes, where they'll have a lot of the refraction, have 6 legs, like all insects. If an insect does not have 6 legs, it is technically not an insect. Their wings spread about 45 millimeters, and as I mentioned before, they have 4 wings. Damselflies often live near water, whereas dragonflies aren't strictly limited to water, but they still tend to grow near water because it's just the easy go-to of short-lived insects, where it's like, are you near water? Can you grow and mate and then reproduce and then have your offspring grow in your lifespan where you are? So do you have food? Do you have water? Are there other damselflies or dragonflies nearby? Which, if there's water, the chances are yes, there are. It lives near standing water. It flies from May to September. That's often how they end up. The reason they kind of fly from May to September is because that's their sort of life cycle through a year. It'll be sort of August, September time, then they'll reproduce to make little water-bound nymphs that will then grow older, and around May time they will grow their own wings and then go off. There you go. Female lays eggs on the stalk, the nymphs, you have the nymph, then the older nymph, then the larva skin where they'll cocoon themselves and then break out of the cocoon, and then the adult damselfly with their wings. We've got a couple more plants, and then we've got, I think there's a water boatman going across the lake. Wood forget-me-not. Oh gosh, I don't remember my weird little facts about forget-me-nots. I can't remember. They have sessile leaves. They have blue flowers, very like bright blue flowers. A calyx and a flower, so they'll have like a little bulb, almost bulb, called a calyx. Didn't know that part though. See, I'm learning as well. So yeah, they'll grow all the little calyxes up the stems, and then they'll sprout into the flowers. Much like nettles, they have slight hairs across their leaves. I think quite a lot of plants do, unless that's what sessile means. Here was me thinking sessile might be like the little tubular leaves, but forget-me-nots don't have those. The forget-me-not is not a creeping flower. No, the forget-me-not is a creeping flower. Sorry, I saw the knot. I saw the knot and was like, that's a weird thing to make a statement about. The forget-me-not is a creeping flower. So similarly to clovers and the other one that we spotted, they'll kind of work their way across time. Yes, thyme and clovers are both creeping. The forget-me-nots is the same, where they'll kind of work their way along and have lots of sprouts coming up with all the flowers on top. They grow on muddy banks, in marshes, and in floodplain forests. And then we've got marigolds, marsh marigolds. They have bright yellow flowers. They're a water-based plant for the most part, which is where sort of the name for there's a brand of washing up gloves in the UK. I don't know if it transcends the UK or not. But they are called marigolds, and it's kind of like the shorthand for, in the same way that a hoover is called a hoover and not a vacuum cleaner. They're often called marigolds and not washing up gloves. But yeah, they have close up of the fruit. It comes almost with like a pea pod. The upper leaves are sessile. You know what sessile means. And stalked basal leaves. They have all these wide leaves that often have like undulating ridges on them. It grows near streams and ponds, requires a lot of water, and it is slightly poisonous, so don't go eating marigolds. Here we go. A water measurer, not a water boatman. They have long legs and long antennas, often almost crane fly-like, but without the wings. It lives on the borders of calm water. It is predaceous. The eyes are located in the middle of the length of its head. It's got a very long head, but its eyes are small and in the centre. Water measurers feel when something hits the water surface. It implies the insect. It impales the insect with its sting and then sucks out all their innards. Ew. Creepy little man. Creepy little water boatman. But yeah, they actually kind of skate across the top of water by kind of... I'm not even 100% sure how they do it. But they have like these slight ridges on their feet, which then they can kind of disperse water pressure. So they kind of make the most out of the slight viscosity of water, which to us is not even a thing. It would be like us like trying to stand on custard, effectively. And then we'll come back down to the burrow. I think that's everything in this first area. So we'll go back to the burrow. And then we can jump out to the other areas.